Okay, so Vice recently reported that nearly 90% of Americans said they didn't have a great time in 2025. Not a little stressed, not concerned about the future. 9 out of 10 people said 2025 sucked.
This sucks.
Yeah, it really sucks.
What's up, everybody? I'm Zap Rath, musician and actor turned content creator, and I'm here to help you design a practical and personal money blueprint that provides a sustainable framework for achieving your financial goals. And in addition to tight finances, people said they felt worn down by constant uncertainty, social isolation, political tension, and that sense that effort no longer guaranteed progress. So even when things weren't actively falling apart, life just felt heavier in 2025, just less rewarding and harder to plan around. And that emotional weight can bleed into every decision that you make, including how you earn, spend, save, and invest money. So stick around to the end of this video because I'm going to break down this article so that you understand what actually made 2025 feel so rough, why the official economic story didn't match people's reality, and what this environment is quietly doing to your financial decision making. But before we jump into it, please do me a huge favor. As always, hit that like button because that lets the almighty algorithm know that this is a cool video and more people should see it. Okay, so one of the key points in this Vice article is this disconnect. On paper, the economy wasn't collapsing. Inflation cooled compared to earlier years. Unemployment stayed under 4.5% for most of the year, and GDP growth remained positive. But on the other hand, prices didn't come back down.
Oh!
According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics data, grocery prices stayed over 20% higher than pre-2020 levels. Rent was still up 25 to 30% nationally since 2019, and interest rates on credit cards averaged over 20%, also near record highs. So while inflation slowed, the cost of living stayed elevated and wages didn't meaningfully catch up. And that's why people felt squeezed, even when the headlines said that things are stabilizing. Next, this article also highlighted something that doesn't show up in economic charts: emotional exhaustion. And by 2025, Americans had lived through years of inflation, layoffs and hiring freezes, constant talk of a recession, and rising debt balances. And according to the Federal Reserve, over 60% of Americans said they wouldn't be able to cover a $400 emergency without borrowing. Credit card delinquencies rose steadily throughout 2025, and consumer confidence remained historically low. This kind of prolonged uncertainty does something dangerous. It shifts people from long-term planning to short-term coping, and this is absolutely a financial danger zone. This is when people rely more on credit, they spend more emotionally, and they make financial decisions that are driven by relief, not strategy. I even had to talk myself off the ledge over the holidays because there are some investments that I wanted to scrap completely and start over because they did so bad in 2025, but it was an emotional reaction. Not having patience to see things through, and you've got to have some kind of financial discipline during these kinds of times. And one way to do that is to have a consistent voice of financial reason, and you can get that through weekly videos when you subscribe to this channel, because if you made it this far into the video, then you're probably enjoying my content. So if you'd like to see more of my videos, hit that subscribe button so that you never miss my next financial insight. All right, so here's the part that most people miss. Bad years don't just hurt your bank account, they rewire your behavior. And when stress becomes normal, it feels like saving is pointless. It feels like investing is risky, and your patience disappears. And according to behavioral financial research, prolonged financial stress leads to higher impulse spending, lower savings rates, and avoidance of complex decisions like investing or refinancing. And that's why years like 2025 quietly widen the gap between people who have systems and people who just have circumstances. So one of the biggest lessons that you can take from 2025 is that the system isn't broken, relatively speaking. It was just a blah kind of year.
My disappointment is immeasurable.
But economic recovery is in play, at least on paper. But relying on a single paycheck in a psychologically unstable economy is fragile. When prices stay high, debt gets expensive, and layoffs feel random. And you need income and financial structure that doesn't all break at once. And that's why I focus on layered income, transferable skills, and long-term positioning instead of quick gains and all these exciting schemes that aren't stable. And when you start thinking about building stability beyond a single paycheck, part of that means having long-term exposure to assets that aren't tied to your employer or short-term economy. For me, that's why I use platforms like Gemini and Kraken. I don't trade short-term, and I'm not trying to time the market. I just use them as part of a broader long-term structure, especially for assets like Bitcoin that are designed for long-term horizons. And on top of that, these apps have some of the highest sign-up bonuses that I've seen. And if you use my referral link in the description of this video, deposit and trade at least $100 on each platform, you'll receive $65 in bonuses just for trying them out. So click those links for more details.
Wow, nice.
So most people didn't feel bad in 2025 because they failed. They felt bad because the margin for error really disappeared. And when there's no margin, every mistake feels catastrophic. And the people who come out stronger next aren't the loudest or the most optimistic. They're the ones who noticed the pressure, adjusted their structure, and stopped assuming that the economy would eventually fix it for them. So if you like this video, click that share button, share it with at least 2 people who want to understand why 2025 felt so bad and how to make 2026 even better. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.